So 3D printing, the way that we use it, is the deposition of plastic on a bed, and then you just create layer after layer after layer of that plastic to build some end user product.
My students are focusing on more just creating artistic pieces with their work.
My students, they use 3D printing as like the beginning prototype, and then we use it as a way to find the end product, which is normally made out of metal, aluminum or steel or something like that.
We both have pretty different approaches in what we're doing, but the main reason behind that is I come from a more artistic background, and seeing what machines they had on campus, I kind of wanted to find a way to utilize those in an artistic way. And so my students are primarily working on sketches for their work and then bringing that into the design software and printing art pieces essentially, whereas Aaron's doing stuff that's a lot more.
Yeah, so you start with the way you want something to look. My students will start with the way we want something to work.
Yep.
So we've got dimensions on how things should be or interact, and then the aesthetic part of it comes later.
I think the main thing I've learned from him is just how to get more technical with design, but also create something that's actually functional, not just purely for show. That industrial side has taught me a lot about, it's not always just about the looks. At times it could be something that's useful too, but yeah, I think that's the main takeaway.
Mine's exactly the opposite. Mine was always about what the function was. Does it work? Does it do what it's supposed to do? And then when you sit back and look at it, it just didn't look that great. So
but it works.
I learned a lot of that from Emily and her students.
One key thing is the students have to be working on something they actually like doing. Yep.
Yeah, the students just absolutely love using the 3D printers. There's some frustration in learning the 3D printers.
From the start, yep.
But once they get it, you can just see that it's like they feel like they've really accomplished something. There's something about being able to design something on paper, draw it in CAD, and then to like hold it in your hand afterward is just it's
a good feeling.
Yeah, they love it. It doesn't matter what it is because they made it.
Like you said, there are those initial frustrations, no doubt, but once they figure it out as a class or individually, and they're able to actually print something on their own that they came up with, they're stoked about it.
I think what it's really good at is it just stokes their curiosity.
Yeah, definitely.
They get curious about something, and when you get a curious student, they want to know more, and so you can just keep on building on that curiosity, and you're not really teaching them, you're just kind of guiding them, and they're teaching themselves. So that's one of the coolest thing about 3D printing is they really get curious about it.
I think regardless of major, what I think my students have taken away from this class is troubleshooting in general. Because there is like I said, there's a lot of frustration initially because it's something they don't know, but they have to try so many different things to get one thing to work. And I think even just that learning process in itself is something that a lot of them can apply to whatever industry they end up in.
I totally agree with that sentiment. You're giving students the confidence to make something on their own. It helps students understand that, hey, it's not can I do it, it's how do I do it.
I think the main takeaway is just being more confident in what you can come up with, what you can create in general, and I don't think a major really matters. It's one of those classes that I really do think is for everybody.